tell us again why you're running, why we should endorse you, and we'll take questions after that. So.
Sure. And I don't want to seem redundant, because obviously you printed
That's fine.
a letter that I wrote today.
Yeah.
As you know, a few years ago, our county property taxes went up 20% in 1 year. And even after the Medicaid penny was imposed, the county was still running a deficit. It was a priority, and it remains our priority, not only to stabilize taxes, but to reduce taxes. And that's something that I think that we've accomplished with respect to the stability and stabilization of our tax rate. As you know, we actually saw the county tax rate go down this year, and I think that has been accomplished through a number of initiatives. Most importantly, I believe, is that the county, we're now doing a better job of long-term planning. And that was accomplished by replacing our patronage department heads who were running our risk and insurance department, our budget, and our human resources. By replacing those patronage appointments with professionals from the private sector that we interviewed and hired with the assistance of the county manager, obviously, what we've done is we've taken the politics out of it. As you know, legislators run on 2-year terms. And when you take the politics out of the management of those departments, they can now see beyond 2 years. In addition to that, we also extended, as you know, the county manager's contract, which is part of this, our focus on better long-term planning. We've also taken a look at creative ways to fund our mandated services. For the sake of example, one of the things I talked about in my guest column was the fact that we stopped paying private sector attorneys by the hour to represent our indigent criminal defendants and also those people involved in custody matters. We've to date saved about $100,000. We've also looked at restructuring our benefits. Employee benefits are a large part of, it's a large cost center to the county. We spend approximately $100 million on wages out of a $310 million budget. But about $40 million of that is for benefits. So we got the assistance of the private sector. We looked at restructuring health insurance. We wanted to be able to provide comparable coverage, but yet save the taxpayers money. And as you know, there was just another contract, I believe, ratified within the last day or two. And we've had some success there. That's something, though, that the legislature has led by example on. As you know, one of the first things I did after I was elected was voted to give up my lifetime health insurance benefits. Also decided to forego the county insurance. And will that turn the budget around? Absolutely not. But it's one of those things where we decided to lead by example. We knew that at some point in time we would be looking to restructure and try to come up with more cost-effective ways to provide these benefits. It's difficult to do that if you're not cleaning house first, which is something we've done. But if I could put my finger on the one thing, the most important piece of the puzzle of stabilizing taxes and reducing the tax burden on our residents, that's economic development. We have really put a focus on economic development over the last few years. And I think the best example of that is that prior to 2005, now again, I can't, I'm not going to take all the credit for this. Our Center for Economic Development has been doing an excellent job. And we've obviously supported them, but Mr. Ferraro and his staff have really implemented new ideas that we hadn't seen before. I think the best example is prior to 2005, we didn't even have a formal marketing campaign to market Niagara County's assets. How many years have we been talking about? We've got the water, we've got cheap land, and we've got an educated workforce, and we have a strategic location. We've got the Niagara Falls International Airport, and we didn't even have a formal plan. Now, my master's degree is, ironically, in marketing. And one of the things that the center started, or I'm sorry, not one of the things, their campaign included, and does include, among other things, targeted mailing to companies that may be interested in Niagara County, print advertising in trade journals, something we've never done before, direct contact with companies that may have an interest in Niagara County, Canadian marketing campaign, direct contact with Canadian companies, which, as you know, has led to some success at this point, but again, that's still in its infancy. That's just starting to take off. As a result of these, well, I should also touch on the airport. As you know, the NFTA is committed to the redevelopment of the airport, but for our purposes, I know that the passenger side can be a boost to tourism. It's something that's important, but the part that we need is already there. The runway, it has the length and it has the capacity to handle the type of cargo that we can use to attract businesses to come here. And that's one of the things that we also weren't marketing aggressively. The partnership with the BNE has actually led to an increase in marketing of the airport, because one of the things that the BNE did as part of, in their relationship with the county, was to implement a marketing campaign that included the airport specifically to businesses that may be interested in bringing in cargo and freight. As a result of these things, as you know, the center had its most successful year ever last year, $90 million in private capital investment. I think that this year will be even better, because that doesn't include HSBC data center. It does not include the lake unloading project, and this is the most important piece, it doesn't include the synergy, those companies that have contacted Niagara County just in the last several months with more than just a passing interest in locating here. And where is this coming from? Well, it's not just the marketing. It's not just the efforts from our Center for Economic Development. When companies come here, companies like HSBC, when they decide to spend $1 billion in Niagara County, what does that do? Other people in the industry are cognizant of what's going on. Because before I became an attorney and before I became a legislator, I also worked for a Fortune 500 company as a financial manager. And believe me, we were well aware of what was going on within the industry. So when a company makes a move like that, piques everyone's interest. That's the synergy that I'm talking about. I can't tell you how optimistic I am about where we're heading with respect to our economy. Now, I'm not suggesting, sometimes it's difficult for us to talk about our optimism without sounding as though we're not addressing the problems or we're ignoring the problems, because I don't want it to seem that way.
Right.
Obviously, I'm not suggesting that we don't have any work to do, or that we're the best economy in Western New York, or New York for that matter. I wouldn't suggest that. However, we're seeing growth, positive growth. We're seeing investment in Niagara County, and as a result of this, and as a result of the stabilization of our taxes, when you take all those factors together, that's the kind of thing that Wall Street also has recognized. As you know, our bond rating went up again, second year in a row. We're at A3, and I know that I have heard some people say, well, bond rating is related solely to fund balance. The bond rating is a factor of a lot of different things, including unemployment rates and other economic indicators, your debt, et cetera, et cetera. And Wall Street and Moody's has taken a look at really where we are as a whole, not just our finances or our fund balance, and said, you're a good credit risk. Is that one piece going to turn the ship around? Absolutely not, and I'm not suggesting that. But when is the last time that Niagara County had its bond rating increased 2 years in a row? I'm unaware of that ever happening. It's possible, but I'm unaware of it. A3, obviously not the best bond rating, but it's darn good. And I think that as long as we continue to focus on taxes and economic development, I think we're going to be fine. On a personal note, well, I shouldn't say personal. I guess what I wanted to say is if we're going to talk about what I've had the opportunity to do, I was just out at Day Road Park talking to some people out there.